This is a review of a bird feeder, Perky Pet bird feeder, and I'm going to compare this to another bird feeder, which is a cheaper version. I don't know what the name of this is, but it looks like a generic bird feeder that I got from Home Depot. I think I bought it for like less than $10 before pandemic, so you might have to pay the pandemic price or pandemic inflation. Anyway, the main review is for the Perky Pet bird feeder, and I bought this hook separately from Lowe's because Lowe's was closer to me, and it has worked out good. We had got a lot of enjoyment. So I'm gonna discuss some of the things that I found that I like, some of the things that maybe it could be improved on, and my general impression and quality. As you can see, the birds have done a real number on the roof, and where they actually eat with their beak, they have chipped some of the paint off and some scratch marks, which is normal, but just wanted to point out. And one time I had dropped the feeder, and I don't know if you can see, but I think it's right here. There's a little bit of a dent, but it's no big deal. The feeder works. So I bought some bird feed from Sam's Club. Before the pandemic, this is a 40-pound bag. I used to be able to get it for around $20. Now this same bag, 40-pound, is $29. So I think it has to do with the pandemic inflation. But it has a lot of sunflower seeds, and birds seems to really like it. The other feeder, bird food, they put in other seeds, and birds don't like it so much. So I try to get what birds like, and I think it's good for the money, because I think they get what they need, and we get enjoyment of them eating. So now I'm going to take the cap off, the roof off, and show you what's in there. So I'm going to take the roof off and see how much feed is in there, and replace the feed and show you what's inside. So it's a little bit hard sometimes to take this off. But what I've found is that if you wiggle it, and then if it grabs, that means that it's secured. And if it's not secure, just keep on wiggling it until it grabs, and then you're good. I think they could have made a better mechanism, but it is what it is. I think the Perky Pet bird feeder number 2, I think, is to have a simpler mechanism. So here's what the bird feeder looks like. There's some left. I'm just going to dump it on the ground. The squirrels and the birds will eat it. The bird feeder does come with a pole mount, but I never use it. But instead of having a hook to hang your bird feeder, you can also do that. But I didn't do that. So it looks like there's some water that gets in, and then the seeds get moldy. So that's what it is. It's a good idea to wear gloves because these birds leave their droppings everywhere. So it might be safe because of bird flu and other things going around the world. Anyway, looks like I'm gonna have to wash this, so make it clean all this. But what I wanted to show you is that after 3 years, it has some rusting. I mean, the feeder still works, but I wasn't expecting this. So that's a little bit of disappointment, but overall, the feeder is good quality. So let me compare this feeder against this cheap feeder and show you the pros and cons. Just to point out, I put a hole in there trying to make a bird feeder into a bird house, and I hung it for maybe 4 or 5 months last year. No one used it, so I guess the housing crisis hasn't hit the bird community. But it's 2023, so we might be having housing crisis. So I'm expecting this house will be used this year. I know birds have better options than this house, but I was thinking at least some homeless bird could have used this. I mean, it's a nice house, but apparently they have high standards, I suppose. Anyway, let's go back to the review. So why would you pay $21 to $35 for this versus, let's say, $9 for this? What's the difference? What are you getting for additional $20 plus? So for the starters, the material is all metal, so obviously it would cost more. Plus, it's more intricate and looks much nicer. So that would be some of the cost going to. But why would you purchase it compared to just getting a wooden one? And these two are about the same age when I purchased. So my experience has been that when you put the feed in this bird feeder, what happens is that the feed comes out here and the birds sit here and the birds eat it. But what happens is that the birds are looking for the best seeds, best food, just like anyone else would. They want the most for the least effort. So what I noticed what they do is that they basically throw away 60 to 70, maybe around 60%, 50% of the seeds onto the ground. And they only eat what they like. Kind of like a two-year-old kid. So you buy the seeds, and seeds are expensive if you're wasting so much seed. So eventually buying a cheap bird feeder catches up with you. So it's actually more expensive to buy a cheap bird feeder than buying a good bird feeder where the seeds are not strewn out, seeds are not thrown away, and at the bottom you have some squirrels or other birds, eating them, usually big birds, because this bird feeder has a sensor. So if you weigh too much, then the feeder closes. So that's also designed to prevent the squirrels from getting in, and also large birds like mourning doves or like hawks maybe, or some other large birds. Usually I wouldn't expect hawk to feed on these seeds anyway, but that's just an example. So those are the reasons why you would buy this bird feeder compared to this one, because eventually you're going to spend more money on the seeds than you saved on the bird feeder. So now I'm going to go wash, and then I'll come back and put some new seeds in. First I'm going to let it dry and then put the new seeds in. So I think it takes let me mention one more thing. This feeder, you could fill it up to the brim and it'll last you for about a month at least, because birds can't really be wasteful, because these little slits, the seeds don't get thrown out. So that's one really good thing. Okay. The bird feeder is cleaned out by washing it with a garden hose. So let's see how it is. It looks fairly clean and dry. As I mentioned earlier, there is some rusting. I think there's some water that gets in when it rains and it collects at the bottom. And that's why there is some rusting. If we put it on the sideways, let's see, that's how it looks like. So this is after about 2 years or so. It has some damage, but still good. I don't know how long it'll last, but so far so good. Now I'm going to put some seeds in. I had got a new bag. Now we need to put the roof on, and then we should be good to hang the bird feeder onto the hook. So you want to shake it off first. And then slide the roof in. This part can be a little tricky part. So what I would suggest is just try it, wiggle it, and then the weather vane, just move it and see if it grabs. If it grabs, that means the roof is secured. If not, wiggle some more and see if it grabs. And now we're good to hang the feeder. So the feeder is hung and we're just waiting for the birds to come, and our job is done. As far as squirrels coming in, they do attempt to come in, but they're mostly unsuccessful. But there are some chipmunks that try to come in. Chipmunks are a little smaller than squirrels. They are a little bit more successful in getting the seeds. But I haven't seen myself too much of a squirrel or a chipmunk problem. So far as being resistant to those types of critters, I would say success. Plus, when the squirrel come or chipmunk come, I think they add some entertainment value, so they get a little bit of feed, but I think the entertainment probably more than pays for itself. Hope you find it useful, and if you like the video, please subscribe for anything that interests me. I'll post, and please give it a thumbs up.